friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average babes come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A place where being yourself is the ultimate goal, where your opinion, your story, and your individual experience matters. Join me, your host B, and my guests for real and raw talks every week, laying it all out there so we can all help each other learn more, grow deeper, and evolve collectively. Now keep in mind, as a disclaimer, no one here is an expert and no one is giving any advice. This is strictly our opinions, thoughts, feelings, and for entertainment purposes only. Now with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. I hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy and I'm the host of the show. And today you guys are on episode 202, What in the Actual Internet, Part 8, Diddy or Didn't he? Should have said that. But before we get into this awesome solo episode of me just finding random shit on the internet, I just want to remind you, if you are watching on YouTube or Rumble, to like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, and comment if you can. If you are listening on the audio platforms through Spotify and Apple, you can also turn on notifications, follow, and leave your girl a review if you're feeling so kind in the Christmas holiday spirit. And if you want to find me on social media, you can find me at the Be Real Babe podcast or the Be Real Babe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Pinterest. Now, you guys, two things. One, I know it's not quite December yet. Traditionally in my house, we decorate December 1st, and this is going to launch a couple days before. I just had to, guys. I was ready for it. I was so excited with my new sign, and I have so many Christmas shirts. I'm wearing one. My present is your present with the Grinch, for those that are on audio that can't see. And for those that can't see in the background, I've decorated with some red lights. So I originally had red and green, and then when they go together, there was a yellow. So it wasn't really giving Christmas vibes very much. It was definitely giving a different kind of rainbow. So we're going to go for red for a couple episodes and green for a couple episodes. Got some don't buy dollar store, whatever this stuff is, garland, cheap, everywhere. It's dirty everywhere. But yeah, I could not wait. And yeah, like I said, I am an avid collector of Christmas shirts, so I have plenty. So I thought this is a great time for me to display them. And we'll start with Santa chapeau, barely fit over my headphones. But anyways, so today, you guys, we are looking on the internet. And the internet has been exploding, obviously, with stuff around P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Brother Love. I mean, this man has had many different names. And I just want to set for the record, as I was doing research for this episode, I am watching my favorite creators like Sloan and Amala Eknobi, and they're talking about, and Amala herself and another creator was contacted by somebody, and they don't know, they're alluding to maybe it being private investigators or people on the case or whatnot, but they're essentially asking creators if they were reporting on this case and if they were being paid. So I just want to say for the record that I lose money doing this podcast. I am not paid by anyone. I am just a Canadian stoner that's just trying to get through winter depression. Okay, there's nothing more than that. Because in this whole adventure of podcasting, I've talked about Hollywood and the corruption and child trafficking and the exploitation and all the things that I have issues with it. So it just kind of blows my mind that all these things are happening now. So that's that, not getting paid, just for the record. Okay. If you want to pay me, no, I don't want to be paid. No, I want to be able to be a free bird, say what I want. So that's interesting. Make sure you guys go watch Sloan and Amala's videos about that, because I find it super interesting and super weird. I'm not worried. I'm not that big of a podcast, so I'm not worried about them coming after me. But if for some reason you're searching hashtags and you have found me in this, no, not being paid. But also, and anything that I'm saying in this, I am just getting off the internet, you guys. I do not know shit about fuck, like I always say. And realistically, as much as sometimes it's hard to say, people are innocent until proven guilty. And I just want to say that because as someone who ventures down rabbit holes quite a bit, I also do know that there are times that, people are wrong and dots could connect and things could be, and sometimes they just aren't. So I want to preface this that this is just stuff I'm pulling from the internet. You guys decide, you go look. This is just shit I'm reading and I find super interesting and find it Just interesting. I think that's a good word. We're going to go with interesting. So let's start at the very beginning. Most of us grew up, most of us listening to this podcast, listening and creating, are millennials. So y'all know Puff Daddy. That's that age. We all go back to that music. I'm sure most of us still listen to it. We love it. But just like when it happened with R. Kelly, I also struggle to listen to this stuff now, knowing even just the allegations and the stuff that has come out, right? So we have to keep in mind that there's allegations, there's real stuff, there's crazy conspiracies, and then there's like a bunch of muddled areas, right? So we weren't there. Thank goodness. Maybe you were if you're listening. I highly doubt it. So we're just going off of speculation. But for those that don't know, and maybe you've lived under a rock and maybe you're not a millennial or you're older, but Puff Daddy Sean Combs was born in November 4th, 1969. He's also known as Diddy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy. What were the other ones? Brother Love. He's had many different names. Oh my gosh, where'd they all go? There we go. Puffy, Puff, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, Love, and Brother Love, also known as Sean Combs by birth. He's an American rapper, record producer, and record executive. He's credited with the discovery and development of musical artists such as Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and Usher, right? So big names. We all know these individuals. We know this. This is Wikipedia, easy Google search. Not being paid. Born in Harlem and raised in Mount Vermont, Coombs worked as a talent director in Uptown Records before founding his own record label, Bad Boy Records, in 1993. It's kind of crazy when you think about these titles now. Back then, it was like, I was so young. I was like 15, probably 12. Wait, 93, not in 93 when I was listening to him, and you just like Bad Boy Records. You're like, yeah. And then now you look back at it and you're like, did this allude to that? Like, no, I don't think that's a great connection. He embarked on his recording career following the success of his first signee, the Notorious B.I.G., for whom he served as manager and hype man. Coombs' debut studio album, No Way Out, in 1997, peaked atop the Billboard 200, and he sold over 7 million copies in the U.S. Two of his lead singles, Can't Nobody Hold Me Down and I'll Be Missing You, that topped the Billboard 100 charts. The latter was the first hip hop song to debut atop the chart. His second album and third album, Forever and the Saga Continues, in the early 2000s, reached number 2 Billboard, and his fourth, Press Play, in 2006, reached the top of the chart as well. Let's go back to that, though, because there's a lot of conspiracies, and again, these are all conspiracies. I just want to put a pin in this because if it ends up being true, I just want to have it here on the show. But I know that I'll Be Missing You is a huge song in my life. It's been played for many funerals for my friends that have passed. So I know that a lot of people love this song. So I don't think that's a song I'll ever be able to let go of. But, and we'll go into this a bit later, if the conspiracies are true about his involvement in any of these individuals disappearing, namely the song that he made this individual about, that's fucked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it's true. I don't know. This is just things that they're being said on the internet. But if he did allegedly have anything to do, or a hand or a thought or anything to do with Biggie not being here anymore, and then this song come. Anyways, just thought, just want to put it out there. But he worked mainly as a producer for other media, including MTV's reality series Making the Band, which also questioned a lot of that now, like what happened there. Thinking of the young guys, thinking about the freak offs, like he launched a clothing line, Sean John, in 1998, and he won Menswear Designer of the Year from the Council of Fashion Designers of America in 2004, having previously nominated in 2000. He also served as a brand ambassador for the liquor brand Ciroc, I think that's how you say it, from 2007 to 2023. I don't drink, you guys can tell. And co-founded the television network Revolt in 2003. He's one of the wealthiest musical artists and has won 3 Grammy Awards. In late 2023, this is where it all starts. Coombs settled a high-profile sexual assault and abuse lawsuit filed by his former partner, Cassie Ventura. Numerous other lawsuits were subsequently filed in the following months, with several claimants alleging incidents of sexual assault and abuse by Coombs by 1991 to 2009. We're going to pause there. Going back to when this all happened late in 2023, I feel like a lot of people were still very hesitant, even though it did settle outside of court. I feel like a lot of people were still hesitant of believing of this abuse until the video was released in CNN, and we'll go over that shortly. But I feel like a lot of people still didn't want to believe it. And then a video came out of footage from a hotel. Like it was undisputable at that point. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's great that that happened. It's sad that that alone wasn't enough to spark well, it did. Obviously, it sparked the subsequent filings because obviously people felt more empowered because she won. But I'm just saying, like, for a really court of public opinion, it's sad that it took that video to come out for many people to like believe and start like reporting on this again, myself included. But even though I'm not a full-time drama channel, obviously. So that leads us to, again, what is going on currently and what happened in 2024. So in March 2024, several properties tied to Coombs were raided by the Department of Homeland Security. And this September, he was charged with sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pled not guilty and was denied bail twice. So we know who this is. We know his music. We know the people that he was around. We know there's a lot of like crazy allegations, real allegations. There's real stuff. I'm sure there's fake stuff. I'm sure there's everything in between. And in no way, shape, or form, when I'm saying anything, am I discrediting any victims or anybody that has felt that. Just for me personally, I wasn't there, so I can't say anything actually happened. I just want to say that I think it's absolutely disgusting, and I'm very interested to see how this case pans out. And I really hope for those that deserve justice get it. And but I'm just gonna say, because I don't know, I wasn't there, I'm not claiming any of these things. But did Cassie Ventura's allegations and case start a wave? Absolutely. And I truly, truly hope that through all of this, she finds some peace, knowing that she empowered victims to come forward and faced probably the scariest thing she's ever had to face, to hopefully help others in the future. And I just think that's super brave, and probably terrifying. So I can't imagine. And then, of course, everyone's covering it, right? But I do think it's important because we need to know who we're supporting and where we're putting more money in. And this individual's, like you heard, one of the biggest, most financially sound individuals out there. And obviously, because people invested and made him famous too. And I'm not saying this anybody's fault by any standards. I'm just saying sometimes, it's one or two things. If they're having a personal, in my opinion, if they're having a fight, if they're something's just happening with their marriage, maybe they're not the best spouse, or maybe that, but this is like a whole other level of holy fuck and like deep, dark, dark, dark stuff, right? And again, I'm just alleging, and I am not going to be able to cover everything this episode, you guys. This is why I've been pushing it, because I just keep falling deeper, and then there's more connections, and then I'm like, okay, we need to stop at some point and just high level sum this up. Okay, so we know who he is. We know that he settled out of court with Cassie. We know the video's gone out. We know that more things pursued. What pursued next? So after his high profile ex girlfriend filed a lengthy lawsuit, you guys, lengthy, again, go look in this. I would highly suggest going to watch Rotten Mango's coverage. She has a 3-part series of it. One of the most amazing documentarians, just amazing YouTuber, guys. Amazing job. Go listen. She breaks all this shit down far more than I ever could. But the lengthy lawsuit was on November 16th, 2023, accusing him of physical abuse, rape, sex trafficking. This included Ventura's accusation that she participated in numerous freak-offs, where are detailed in her lawsuit, and treated her essentially as like an art project and just doing really bad things. The lawsuit was settled privately the next day with undisclosed terms, but then on May 17th, as I mentioned, CNN released hotel footage of Combs beating Ventura in Los Angeles in 2016, which led to Combs issuing a public apology, the sole time he acknowledged wrongdoing in this saga. And I like to point out that before this, I believe allegedly that he was saying this wasn't true. That's what I'm saying. It took this video to come out for an apology. I mean, again, innocent until proven guilty. You settle out of court. I don't know. But if you're paying something, maybe you don't think that you have enough evidence to prove that you're not a bad person. I'm not sure how it works, especially being in Canada. I'm not sure how the legal system works. But to me, if you're settling something, I feel like more often than not, allegedly, supposedly, probably, you're guilty. Just saying. But what's happening now? So, Ventura headline, making lawsuit action was just the beginning of the wave of legal action against Combs from women and men he allegedly assaulted. His attorney, Erica Wolf, issued a statement on October 1st denying the culpability in the upcoming waves of suits. Mr. Combs empathetically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. He looks forward to proving his innocence and vindicating himself in court, where the truth with the established based will be established based on evidence, not speculation. And again, that's why I'm saying I don't know anything. I'm just sharing what I see online. And again, I'm probably in my own echo chamber being disgusted with Hollywood for the last, 4 or 5 years. Not loving this shit and being obviously, I don't know who would be pro. Well, the people that are sex traffickers or people that deny it, I guess. I don't deny that that's happening. And I don't deny that this could be very plausible. We know what happened with Cassie is true. So that is facts. And so, I mean, if someone is showing you who they are, so there's just weird things, right? So again, your public court of opinion, and in the court of law, he is innocent until proven guilty. Again, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to be very interested at what comes out in the court of law, right? But again, is anything going to happen? I mean, Epstein, where's he? Shouldn't have said pa. Ghislaine, what's going on? Did anything really happen from there? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so what are the allegations? So November 23rd, 2023, Joy Dickerson Neal accused Coombs of drugging and sexually assaulting her in 1991. In a separate lawsuit filed that day, Liza Gardner sues Coombs and R&B singer Aaron Hall for sexually assaulting her and a friend in 1990. There's one. December 6, 2023, a Jane Doe claimed that Coombs, then Bad Boy Records president Harve Pierre, and another man R-worded her in New York City while she was a teenager. Numero deux. And it's just, could you imagine? And we'll talk about this later down the road a little bit because it's something kind of Wendy Williams alleged to, and it's very true. Like thinking of the power dynamic, and how terrifying it must be as a victim and a survivor to come out, let alone against someone who is so supported in this. And unfortunately, because it seems like a lot of people are a part of this, obviously would have to be. How else fucking would you have this whole thing go down where people don't really know, but maybe know? And like we said, there's layers to it. I also agree with the coverage and the thought process of just because there's a picture doesn't mean association. Just because they're at a white party doesn't mean association. There could be things like, we know I'm a grandmother. If you've ever partied with me, know I normally like you to leave my house by like 9 p.m. So I would be one of those people that would probably, not saying that, but just thinking in my head, I could definitely be one of those people that are associated with someone, go to leave the party at 9 and have no idea that 3, because I'm sure it happens. I've never been a part of one. I've never been asked. So I can only assume that there's layers of it, right? So that's why I kind of like, you don't know, but like, anyways, just think there's a plethora of people, and depending on where they are and their power, they get keys to the city, they get, so there are these power dynamics that is terrifying that I imagine a lot of victims are too afraid to even come forward with, right? So again, bravo for those that can, understandably those that can't, but Jesus. So February 26, 2024, producer Rodney Jones alleges Coombs sexually assaulted him while he was an employee from September 2022 to 2023. That's not the 90s, the early 2000s. That's last year, my babes. We are, when this launches, November 2024, up until a year ago. That is how long these things have been allegedly happening. I think this is why so many of us are like, oh my God. Next, April 4th, 2024, Coombs is named as a co-defendant in a suit that claims that his son Christian King Combs sexually assaulted a woman on a yacht. The suit filed in Los Angeles alleges that Combs paid to cover up the assault. Tree, apple, proximity close. Not saying anything. I'm just saying it doesn't surprise me because you do hear about this. I mean, and I'm just going to say that in the research of, let's say, cults or religions or political, like you generally, or even like think of like drug dealers and all that, like criminals. A lot of times families either get in the business or get the fuck in the opposite way, right? So would it shock me if when things come out, and I'm sure there's more, again, guys, if there is more, let me know. I'm sure there is actual real allegations against these individuals if they went through, right? Like, I don't know, I can't read everything. But it wouldn't surprise me is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it happened. I'm just saying tend to, you know, do what your parents do sometimes, especially if you want their approval. Or maybe they have caught you in some stuff, or maybe they've manipulated you your whole life and you struggle, right? And I know there's always a lot of like sibling rivalry, not within my own, like with myself and my brothers because we're such a different age, but I do know that there are siblings out there close in age that do try to like one up and get close to. I think even the Menendez brothers even said how the one I think said, if I remember correctly, that it was almost easier to take the abuse because he felt like it was some way he was being favored. And so if he didn't do it, he wouldn't be favored. So I think there is a part of that too. So again, his family being involved wouldn't shock me in the least. May 21st, 2024, Crystal Kinney, a model, accused Coombs of sexual assault in 2003. So 20 years later. Like, girly, you've been holding on to that. I'm so sorry. May 24, 2024, April Lampro sued Combs for sexual assault and battery for a series of incidents from 1994 into the 2000s. June 10th, 2024, Derek Lee Cardello Smith filed a lawsuit saying he was sexually assaulted by Coombs at a 1997 party. Derek, bro, that is so long ago. Holy. I'm so sorry. September 10th, 2024, making the band star Don Richard Combs alleging sexual battery, sex trafficking, and sexual assault, and more. Again, going back to that, making the band, like I said, what would have happened then? Going back to, we talk about Hollywood. We've talked about Nickelodeon and Disney and all the fucked up things that happen there. And there's no difference in the music industry, none whatsoever. The Epstein was like the rich people of it, and like, I don't want to say who I think that the female version of Diddy is, but I also think that she's kind of like a cult leader, and I don't like her music, and she has a incredibly dedicated fan base, and someone that hacked my account tried to sell her tickets. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want her fans to come after me. But if you know, you know who I'm talking about. In September 24th, 2024, Tyler Graves sued Combs saying he drugged and raped her in 2001. September 27th, 2024, Jane Doe, a Florida model, sued Combs alleging she was drugged and sexually assaulted. September 4th, 2024, 6 lawsuits, 2 from women and 4 from men, were filed against Combs in Manhattan. One man claimed that Combs assaulted him when he was 16 years old in 1998. That's a big one. October 20th. October was a bad month for you, son. October 20th, 2024, he was hit with an additional 6 lawsuits, with one claiming that he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl in 2000s. There's also a clip going around, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. It was at an awards ceremony, and one of these young girls won. She was 13, and she won some award, and it was Ashton Kutcher and Diddy, I believe, and they were like all excited for her and hugging her maybe longer than they should have on stage. And then like Diddy was excited because she was going to be coming to the after party. Again, and keeping in mind, this is a 13-year-old, not the same 13-year-old. It was another actress, but um what? You were in your 20s, at least, late, maybe later in life, like 30s. What are you doing? That's weird. um October 28th, 2024, John Doe filed a lawsuit against Combs alleging that the mogul drugged and R-worded him when he was 10 years old. Jesus. Another filed a similar suit claiming that he was sexually assaulted when he was 17 years old while auditioning for Making the Band in 2008. I fucking told you guys. I didn't even read most of this because it's dark. I don't want to have to read it more than once or twice. Honestly. November 19th, 2024, 5 additional suits were filed against Coombs by 3 men, 2 women, who made similar allegations of being drugged, assaulted, and one of the women was 17 at the time of the incident. What's more fucked up, y'all, is on October 1st, attorney Tony Busby said 120 more lawsuits are expected from alleged victims he is working with, which include assaults that took place from the 2000 and 2010. And again, we even heard that there's ones from 2024. So like 2020, 2022, this hasn't stopped. And this started in the early 90s. This is over 30 years. This individual has been affecting massively people in their lives. And I think that is absolutely fucking insane and disgusting. And again, like I'm saying, this is just ones that have come out. These are just ones that feel healed enough, I'm sure, to come out and speak about this. So I'm going to go back to the word interesting and say it'll be very interesting to see what comes out about this. Again, we've said many times on the show that Hollywood, and I think we have focused on Hollywood in the sense where, we've of course talked about the music industry from time to time, especially me and Holly G. But I think for the most part, we've talked more about the actors and those things, that we haven't really talked about this. And to be honest, I had no idea that, like, obviously that it was getting this big. But one thing that I did want to read and go over, because I did find this article super interesting from prestigeonline.com. It was conspiracy theories kind of, that are out there. And, obviously they're theories, you guys. I don't know anything about nothing. I just think, to me, I always like reading these because even if they're real or not, or if they have a nugget of truth or not, it's interesting to see where people's head goes. And sometimes it's just an interesting story, right? And I understand sometimes our brains don't know the difference between fact and fiction, and it could get muddled in your head. And but I do also think it's just interesting where people's brains goes, and I just like to go there. And these ones that are the ones that I've heard. So we're going to read 8 viral conspiracy theories surrounding the P Diddy controversy. So first one up, she knows, she knows. So there was a J. Cole song in 2003, "She Knows," that allegedly has to do with the current controversy surrounding P Diddy. On TikTok, Sleuth, as always, TikTok has got it covered. Uncovered a super hidden message within the lyrics of the song, which referenced to this deceased superstars. Considering the rapper's propensity of inserting callouts into their lyrics, it would come as no surprise if J. Cole had indeed hinted at Diddy's missed deeds in the song. So the song says, "Rest in peace to Aaliyah, rest in peace to Left Eye, Michael Jackson, I'll see ya just as soon as I die." In addition to that, theorists also claim that "She Knows" is a subsequent for "She Knowles," where Knowles is Beyonce's maiden name. The theory also claims that Jackson's security guard had once worked for Diddy, and that it was his delay in calling for help that had resulted in the King of Pop's untimely death. So there's a lot of, I don't think I'm going to cover it in here, but there are theories out there of, again, their theories alleging that Diddy had something to do with the passing of Michael Jackson, which is kind of crazy. I had no idea. There's another theory that Michael Jackson and Trump were really close, and Trump tried to protect him because he's seen what had happened with him with the fake news, and he was trying to protect him, brought him to Mar-a-Lago, kept him for a while, helped him to get back out there. Anyways, whatever. Very interesting sidebar to go look into. But again, allegedly, there's another, which ties into one of the other theories that we'll talk about shortly here, is that there is tunnels under Diddy's, and maybe there's, I have no idea. I haven't found anything on that. Please send it to me if you have found it. But allegedly, they're saying that there was tunnels under Diddy's house that went to Michael Jackson's house, and also to Brittany Murphy's house, and also to Rihanna's house. Not sure why there's so many, but I have heard lots of theories in the past, like plenty of theories about there being massive underground tunnels, especially in Los Angeles. And apparently there's just like a whole world down there that celebrities and stuff go to, like Starbucks. Anyways, whatever. That's a sidebar. That's a different story. We're not talking about that. But anyways, a lot of stuff alludes back to Beyonce, Jay-Z, and I have talked a little bit about that in the past, and the weird shit that they have. Go back a couple seasons, you'll see it. I want to say season 5 and 6, probably a little bit more, where we talk a little bit more about this. But yeah, so allegedly in this theory, there's a lot of theories of Diddy having connections to the lot of music people that have passed, allegedly. I'm just saying, I don't know. So that's one of them. She knows being, yeah. So the other conspiracy quickly devolves the tinfoil hat territory, where they highlight interesting coincidence that the victims, Michael Jackson, Aaliyah, and Left Eye, all died on the 25th day of different months, while the alleged culprits were all burned on the 4th day of the month, as if that means anything. Again, don't know. Depends on what you believe in. Some people believe that, some people don't. That's up for you to decide. I'm just reading shit. This one I do find interesting, the next one, I'm not gonna lie. Just because I do also find it weird, and I think it's something that I always never understood. I don't know if you know me, you know that I have never liked Beyonce. I think I was just pissed at her for leaving Destiny's Child, because I was like, who are you without them? And I've just always just like thought she wasn't a girly girl since then, just truly. And some of her songs I like, and I think it's because I bartended through the release of "If You Like It, Put a Ring on It," and if I listened to that song one more time, I think I literally was going to just so maybe that's why. Or maybe I've just instinctively known that she's not a good person. Maybe she is. Maybe she isn't. I don't know. Her crossover into country was weird. There's a lot of interesting things that people saying she's trying to lighten her skin. I don't know. That's just what I'm hearing, what people are saying on TikTok. But the next one is that we'd like to thank the Beyonce theory. So I guess what they're saying is that a lot of people will be thanking Beyonce and saying that she's, again, it's so funny. All I hear is dance party with Beyonce in my head when I hear that. But anyways, again, it goes back to the theory of Beyonce having something to do with Aaliyah not being here anymore, because we all know how amazing Aaliyah was. There's a bunch on her as well, being so young and hooking up with older people. I believe it was R. Kelly. Again, so many things that tie in. It's exhausting to try and keep it all. But anyways, find it that a lot of notable celebrities at music awards will thank Beyonce for her whatever, for being an inspiration. For the speeches are endless of thanking her for whatever, and it's like they all think that she's the reason that they're there. I'm not sure if she was. I don't know if there's backstory. Again, these are just conspiracies. Maybe they're just saying she's a positive influence on them, and that's what they want to thank them. Like, I can understand that. People like Lizzo, Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Adele, all of them have personally thanked her. And I do think it's interesting, but maybe they were inspired by her. Just because I'm not doesn't mean that other people can't. I am well aware that other people can like people that I don't like, and I can see that. I can acknowledge that. I don't get it. Not for me to get. Which leads into the next one. Did Kanye West save Taylor Swift? Okay. We all know the scene. We all know the 2009 MTV Music Awards, the VMAs, where Taylor went to go won the award, but it was interrupted by Kanye West claiming that Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time and essentially slighted her, ruined her life. That all started the whole Taylor Swift, Kanye. Who knows if that was for publicity? The whole thing with her and Kim Kardashian, like, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But people are alleging, especially since Kanye has spoke out a lot against the industry and whatever, that's a whole other, again, rabbit hole, is saying that maybe he was trying to save her, because she wasn't going to be thanking her, allegedly. And so that's the theory, is that Kanye West actually saved Taylor Swift. Like, but wouldn't that be the plot twist of the century? Because so many people were so upset about that. That was, to this day, still talked about. I'm pretty sure there's even songs that allege to it. So super interesting. Now, the next one I find super interesting. And if you've been following me on my stories on Instagram, I did say that this would not shock me, because there's always been weird stuff about Tupac's death. There's so many rumors that flowing around, like maybe he was going to expose Tupac, or sorry, Diddy, of his sexual orientation, and at that time it wasn't going to be as well received. Some are alleging that Tupac was a part of that and they had a thing together. There's Jada Pinkett Smith is all thrown in there. Where does Will Smith come in? Where does Jennifer Lopez come in all of this? Like, it's a mess. But decades ago in the 1990s, Diddy found himself at the center of beef with Marion Hugh Suge Knight, pitting the former's Bad Boy Records up against the latter's Death Row Records. As the story goes, Tupac Shakur, who was signed with Death Row, had accused Diddy and Bad Boy flagship artist Biggie of orchestrating a shooting and robbery, which occurred in November 30th, 1994. The beef dragged on, tensions simmering beneath the surface for 2 long years. Then, on September 13th, 1996, Tupac was fatally shot on the Las Vegas Strip while in a car driven by Suge Knight. 6 months later, his one-time friend Biggie was shot and killed as he was leaving a Los Angeles party in 1997 after the 1997 Soul Train Awards. Following Diddy's arrest, rumors of his ties to Tupac's shady demise once again surfaced. Speaking to Daily Mail for the publication's podcast, The Trial of Diddy, retired LAPD homicide detective Greg Cading exposed Coombs' connection to the members of the notorious Crip Street Gang, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis and Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. As per Keefe D, it was Baby Lane who had shot at Tupac and Suge Knight, killing the former. 30 years later, in 2023, Keefe D himself was apprehended for the connection to Tupac's murder and now alleged that Diddy had offered him USD 1 million for carrying out the assassination. As of October 2024, the family of Tupac Shakur has encouraged the New York attorney Alex Spiro to investigate the alleged connections between P. Diddy and the murder of the star. Again, huge allegations here. I don't know anything, you guys, but all I'm going to say is that I wouldn't be surprised if you kind of pull yourself back and you start looking at all of these. And again, maybe it wasn't Diddy. Maybe it's somebody above him. Maybe it's someone controlling the whole music industry that is moving things and people where they are. Maybe because they know things, maybe because they don't. I don't know. But I find it super weird, because if you do go back and you watch a lot of the documentaries, I find that there's a really big tone of like Tupac and Biggie like past like being fine with each other. I mean, I don't know that artists and stuff needed to be against each other. There's room for both of them. They had different styles, they had different voices, they had different, everything. So it's like, why? And yeah, so Tupac getting shot, all those things, and then living and then getting shot again. It's just, I find it very interesting. And again, if you go back into Jada Pinkett Smith, she was super in love with Tupac, right? And then all of a sudden she went to Will Smith, who was this like, cleaner rap artist, that was that getting away from allegedly the drama. I don't know. It just, all these things I find super interesting, especially if you think that these people and the conspiracy is true, that they're owned and that there's lots of, let's say, humiliation things, looking at the slap with Chris Rock, because Chris Rock has always been calling this shit out and not afraid to, you know, are these people being blackmailed to do these things, to save these things? Where does this all fall into? That's another, excuse me, conspiracy that I heard, is that, again, allegedly, this is what I read online and heard through TikTok, so it's probably a huge conspiracy, that these Smiths sold their children, specifically Jaden Smith, to Diddy and that whole situation. And then if you watch where it ties into Justin Bieber and them having some different connections, being there at the same time, maybe they're trauma bonded. There was a clip of them being extra close. I know people were saying some things about it. But also, like, were they trauma bonding? Were they very young, being exposed to very dark things? There's a lot of stuff. And again, I also do agree that Justin's going through a lot, and I don't believe that any survivor should have to speak on anything. I actually don't agree with that. I think anybody should be able to speak out when they want to, and that's at their own time. So the fact that people are saying that Justin needs to come out and speak about anything is not fair, because again, we don't know. We could just look on the outside. It looks weird. We can say that Justin was not treated well by Hollywood. He was very much creeped on. That's stuff in shows. We've seen it. We can call those out, but we don't know actually what happened in the background. We can only speculate. And considering it seems like he tried to get out of this lifestyle and just get away from it, find God, get married, have a baby, just move away from it, I feel like he deserves that. And so I'm not going to speak too much on it. And I also agree that the 48 hours with Justin Bieber clip that was going around in when Justin was very young, I think he was 15 years old, and they say that they're going to have the time of their lives. Scooter Braun had just signed him. He was with Usher. Usher gave him to Diddy for 48 hours. Allegedly, that wasn't even true. I've read too, is that apparently that was just a clip that they had, that they're going to be together for 48 hours, but like time stamping him, he didn't actually stay there for 48 hours. But that doesn't mean that shit didn't happen at the same time too, right? So I think that both could be equally true at the same time. Maybe this clip from this certain time had nothing to do. Maybe he wasn't a part of it. Maybe he was too young then. Equally so, he could have been exposed to stuff, especially later in his teenage years when he was clearly abusing drugs and drinking and doing all those things and lashing out. Why was he lashing out? No one asked that. They just talk about how he's so disruptive. Same with all of these Hollywood celebrities. It's always like, oh, they're doing drugs. It's like, but why? Like, I'm not saying that acting isn't hard and music career isn't hard and the pressure, but is there a little bit more to that, do you think? Like, maybe there is. Like, that's why so many kids go through this traumatic and crazy, like from Disney to not, to like innocent to not. We've all seen it, minus JoJo Siwa, even though she thinks she's doing it. Like, maybe it's because they were a part of this stuff at such a young age. They've seen stuff. Like, Usher's been heard before saying that he's walked into things when he was young that he shouldn't have seen. People, he met Diddy parties that he was seeing stuff he shouldn't seen. He was on the fucking Howard Stern show talking about these puffy camps or whatever, and would you have your children go? Immediately, without hesitation, he says no. Right? You've seen the weird clips of Kevin Hart saying that they wake up in the morning and they fight over cereal and just weird shit, right? So it's like, and I think there was also a clip too, I think it was 50 Cent saying that one time Puffy wanted to buy him clothes and take him shopping, and he just didn't quite understand that, like, that he just did weird shit. I mean, he's been calling him out for a while. So I do believe that stuff happened to Justin Bieber. I wouldn't doubt it, but it's his place. And I just, there's a lot of things going on about, that Yummy video and all of that. Like, I wouldn't doubt that those are all true, but I do think it's up to him to come out and speak about it. And we can only just speculate. And I don't know that that's even the right thing to do, but it's weird. It's weird, and we can say that he wasn't treated well in Hollywood. And I think that at the end of the day, it's just a flag for anybody that's going to put their children in Hollywood, is that you need to have a close watch on them, a close relationship with them, to ensure that they're safe. I think that is the number one thing we can take away from that. Do I believe that everyone's a part of it? No. Do I believe a lot of people knew about it? Yes. to a degree as how dark it was? Probably not. Are people willing to look away so that they don't have to change their lifestyle? Absolutely. Do people practice cognitive dissonance and don't want to believe that that's happening? Absolutely. Like there's a lot of truths that can exist at the same time, and I don't think a photo or a list always necessarily pins people. I think we need to focus on the real stuff, the real victims that are out that are saying 100% yes, this is what's going on, right? I do think that is a very great sentiment that has been put out there. And I agree. So the next one, which where again things get a little weird for me, I don't quite understand them. The on again, off again lover, mother of his three children, Kim Porter, in 2018, that was found dead in her Los Angeles home. The 47-year-old model first began dating Diddy in the 90s, where we know this all this stuff dates back to. The two maintained a series of breakups and reconciliations all throughout the early 2000s, and then finally splitting for good in 2007. Remember, she was found passed away in 2018. Porter was said to have been battling a cold and pneumonia before her death and eventually succumbed to it. In the wake of Diddy's legal troubles, a conspiracy theory has emerged alleging that the rapper had his former lover murdered because theorists are saying that Porter had been planning to publish a tell all memoir on the unsavory details about him and their time together. And apparently, theories are saying that he did this to protect his image in the public eye. There's apparently no credence to this. A series of entries from a diary titled Kim's Forgotten Words were posted online. However, there's no proof that these are truly authored by Porter. Again, I mean, we've heard of book burnings, we've heard of people being discredited. Um, and also keep in mind that she passed away of pneumonia. Okay, so as we're thinking of that, we're going to go to some of the weird things and weird connections, just a handful of them. How about Ashton Kutcher? How about him writing character levels letters for Danny Masterson saying that he's an amazing character and good person, he would trust him with his children, yet Danny Masterson is in prison for 30 years for not alleged, full-blown SA rape, all those bad things, and 30 years, y'all, the company you keep, right? So that's one thing. We've also heard about Ashton dating Brittany Murphy, right? And then she wasn't with him anymore. And not long later, she dies of pneumonia. Not long later, 6 months after that, her husband dies of pneumonia. Like, supposedly and reportedly healthy individuals are getting pneumonia around these individuals. Crazy coincidence. Not the mom, not Brittany Murphy's mom. That's good for her. She must have great genes or genetics or whatever, but find that super interesting. They also say that they're allegedly there's connections to the houses. I'm pretty sure Britney Spears had that house and she GTFO'd, I think is what was alleged, and because she said it was creepy. Is there something there? Je ne sais pas. Just think it's weird. Just wanted to bring that up. I feel like that's a very weird connection, right? The chick, and also if I remember correctly, Ashton was going to date someone or pick someone up for a date, and she was not alive. She was found passed away, I believe that was a thing. Another conspiracy, which I don't really, I mean, maybe, but like internet people can find stuff, so maybe not. But allegedly, just after the whole Diddy situation and his arrest, um, he oh yeah, okay, so speaking to Rolling Stones in 2004, the singer recounted that the events of his year with Diddy, sharing that Diddy showed him a totally different set of shit, sex specifically. In a later interview, Howard Stern in 2016, the singer once said again opened up with his time Diddy, revealing that there were very curious things taking place with the rap mogul's home. I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. Keep in mind, he was very young. But that's what people are alleging too, is that his Twitter feed was wiped clean, leading the speculations amongst conspiracy theorists. And he alleges that he just got hacked, but everyone ran with that. So, okay, cool. Totally get that. But again, there's more than that. I can understand if it's one or two things, but there's more than that, right? There's just more to it. And he was very young. So I understand the court of public opinion of being like, he was abused, so he abused or he brought people in it. I truly feel like this is like a fucking pyramid scheme. Like, it's kind of, like Epstein too. I think it's just like the Epstein's version of Diddy. And I think a lot of people agree with that. So next one. The demise of Bennifer related to Diddy controversy? Question mark. So the rappers and musicians aren't the only ones who've taken hits from the downfall of Diddy. A new conspiracy has taken root, this time surrounding his ex-girlfriend J-Lo. The source? Diddy's 1990 hip hop rival Suge Knight. Speaking on his podcast called Collect Call with Suge Knight, which he hosts with his son, Suge shared a few theories surrounding Jennifer Lopez's recently announced divorce from Air actor Ben Affleck. Suge alleges that Jennifer Lopez had been aware of Diddy's involvement with numerous criminal activities, including the 2001 nightclub shooting. He further alleged that the FBI had found tapes of Lopez doing this and doing that upon raiding Diddy's home, thus bringing her involvement in Diddy's activities into question. He also believes that the FBI had shown the evidence to Affleck, saying, "I'm quite sure that they did. We would want to show you some things about your wife." Oh, I'm quite sure that they said. If Suge is to be believed, the demise of Bennifer can be credited to Diddy's criminal activities and Lopez's alleged involvement. However, no concrete evidence exists to support his claims, quickly invalidating them by pointing out that the federal investigators are unlikely to share the evidence without just cause. So, like, that's absolutely fair, right? Like, we got to keep that in mind. That's what I'm saying. Everything is alleged. These are just conspiracies. I just find it's interesting. There's also one sidebar interesting conspiracy that is saying that Liam Payne spoke out about Diddy, saying he was weird and it was a weird situation, and now he's passed, which I think that's a little silly. I don't know that that's true. I also though did want to bring up two other things about this that I find super strange before I end the episode today. I'm sure there'll be a follow-up to this down the road. Like I said, you guys, this is just, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So this is, yeah, I can't do it all. But two things. So Wendy Williams and Diddy have always had a rival. Like, you've just known it for a while. She alleges that when she got beat up, in, I think, where it was. Okay, so getting jumped in 2005 during her radio show, that she almost got jumped by a group of girls who were signed to Diddy's record label Bad Boy Records. She brought it up in a 2019 talk episode. Once upon a time, there was a music mogul who sent his all-girl group to beat my ass in front of the radio station. Fact, she claimed, I finished my shift, rounded up my headphones, put my bag on my arm, and I see everybody lined up at the window looking down on the sidewalk. She explained that she was dating her ex-husband Kevin Hunter at the time, and they had encountered the musical act. I find this girl group jump out of a gypsy cab to come after me to beat my ass for what? You know what I said was true. Y'all were broke and you were living in the projects, and that was that. So it sounds like she's alleging that, they maybe did this for cash. They did this for, I think that's what she's alleging. Like, you weren't anything, now you're something, and you're trying to jump me for what? Because what I said. Also, during a 2013 interview with Vlad TV, Williams tiptoed around her firing from Hot 97 and how it revolved around her speculation of the hip hop's musician's sexuality. There was a radio personality once upon a time, and her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such stuff, and now it's all coming full circle, she teased. There's many situations back in my day, in my career, and it's all coming full circle now. I just find it super interesting because she also alluded to Diddy and having like a power dynamic over Cassie. She was known to say that, my thing about when you date a mogul is it's really difficult to avoid them, because if you use your head, you'll never know when they'll pop up on the scene, she said. He can hire a plane right now and land on the roof of the hotel that she's staying in, pay people off at the front desk, give me a key, and let me up in her room. I'm already paranoid as a person, right? And like, if you think about it, when her abuse happened, to when CNN released that, like, obviously he paid people. And it's actually one thing that I've read, that he allegedly will not go into a hotel through the front door. He won't even go there first. He gets his team to set it up, whether that's for these like weird freak offs or whatever. And we didn't even go over like what freak offs were, what they're saying that they are. So essentially, they're just saying, where was it here? Just to get the actual wording of it. The federal criminal indictment describes Diddy's wild sex parties filled with illegal activity known as freak-offs in great detail. They would frequently involve sex groups, exhibitionism, sex workers, and copious amounts of drug and baby oil. And could be filmed and last for days and days at time. Allegedly that they would have IV parties. People would have to be putting IVs in apparently, because they just needed to get their stamina back. A lot of people also are alleging that Ellen is involved with this, and also that, again, allegedly, just saying, I read on social media, it's probably not true, that that's how Twitch passed away, because apparently he knew some things about these parties. Again, we go back to things like Pizzagate and all of those types of things tied back to the Clintons and all the celebrities, right? So, like, who knows what's true? But after time, you guys, there just seems to be so much piling up that it is very hard for me to not think that there's got to be some truths in some of these things. So, the last thing I want to bring up is Eminem and Rihanna. Two parts of Eminem. One, now people are alleging that the song in 2013, The Monster featuring Rihanna, played a significant role in helping this pop star break free of her alleged control, which, reading down this article, apparently isn't true, because apparently she wasn't signed to Diddy. So people are saying, like, how could he be controlling her? But again, you just don't know where these ties are. So again, I'm not going to take this off the table, and I'm not going to say it's fact either, but I just find it interesting because allegedly the lyrics, I'm friends with the monster that's under my bed, hinting to dark backstory, again, hinting to Diddy's influence, a connection to her home or to people's homes. And basically, what this song is saying is Eminem saying, like, don't fuck with Rihanna. Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and him back her, protect her, don't want anything to be done to her, and just throwing it out there that, like, don't mess with her. And allegedly Diddy didn't do anything because he thought that there was potentially a romantic relationship between Eminem and Rihanna, which has been debunked. Apparently he just really cares about her and didn't want to see her get hurt. And allegedly he tried to save Justin Bieber too, but it sounded like perhaps it was too late. Again, you guys, I'm just saying these are things that I read on social media. I'm not saying these are true. These are facts. Do not clip me and put this out here with me saying that this isn't true. So, which is interesting though, because Rihanna did take a step back and did focus on her beauty career, or beauty brand and all that kind of stuff, and did take a backseat to music. So, you do have to wonder, was that the case? She seems like she's thriving and doing her own things now. It is just all very interesting, or it could not be true. We don't know these things, but apparently there's no way that she could be controlled by him because he didn't run her record label. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, yes, it does, it doesn't, but you just, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's not. And then the last thing about Eminem, which most of you probably have heard over, this has been a big theory for a while now, is the lyrics to his song. When they're claiming that he's calling out P. Diddy. So I thought that was interesting. So let's play a little clip of that. I'm only going to play this, like, the time of when he says it, because I don't want to get copyright claimed and I don't really know, but let's just listen, and I'll put the lyrics up for you guys to see and read at the same time. So I don't get a copyright strike, I'm just going to read these lyrics out to you guys of this song. So I'm like a RAPER, got so many essays. Wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper and leave out a P, did he? RIP, rest in peace, Biggie and Pac, both y'all should be living, but I ain't trying to beef with him because he might put a hit on me. So interesting lyrics, right? We're then alluding to back to the Keefe D thing, back to Tupac, but back to Biggie, back to all of those things, right? So people always say that there's hidden messages in music and songs and all that. And so is there? Definitely. Is that one of them? Don't know. But when you read these lyrics, it's super interesting. And then you find out that other people write them, and there's these producers and these, that, and the other. And I mean, at the beginning of 2004, when Homeland Security went in there, I'm just saying, like, why? Why would these people go in there and do that, right? Obviously, there's stuff happening. I, again, can't say anything because these all alleged, so I'm not saying anything did happen. But also at the same time, when someone shows you who they are, believe it. And I'm just saying, like, how many fucking coincidences does there have to be? And again, we'll go back to the company you keep, right? Like, all these people around them, all these people thanking them, all the weird ass people they're around, right? If he has all these videos on people, and he's got, just like they allege with, Epstein, not alleged, but real too, of videos of compromising things of politicians and high people, there'd be no difference in the music industry, right? I feel like it's all kind of the same. It all links together with just elite people and rich people thinking that they can buy and manipulate. And obviously these people have some traumas that they need to heal. That doesn't excuse anything. At the same time, like, I'm glad that I don't understand why they do this. I guess I could sit here and try and wrap my head around it, but I'll never be able to wrap my head around any of this stuff, which is great. So yeah, currently Diddy is detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center, and his trial is set for May 5th, 2025. So obviously I'll cover that when the time comes in 2025 in season 9 to see where this goes. Because again, I'd be super interested to see what comes out in the meantime. I personally want to dive deeper into this making the band. It's giving NSYNC. It's giving what's his name? That fucking guy that was gross with NSYNC. I can't remember his name. Lou Pearlman. It's giving Luann Taylor. It's giving, right? Like, yeah, I guess in the music industry, we have talked about that, right? And then you think too, like, who else around him? Like, and who knew this stuff, and all these weird deaths, like Aaron Carter and like all of those things. He was 13, right? He was a young boy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I find all the shit. I see why young stars and celebrities turn to drugs and drinking and all of that, is if this is what they're exposed to, especially at a young age. And I think the where are they now actors and singers and all of that were like, absolutely fucking not. This is not worth it to me. And I think that could go to a low level of like, I'm not going to make out with someone because I'm married and I respect my wife level, to of like holding yourself to morals, to I'm not going to be a part of these sex parties that last for days. And you guys could Google, you guys could go on YouTube, you can go on TikTok. There is not a shortage of information on all of this. And again, like there's only so much an individual can cover in an hour, but I highly, highly encourage you guys to go look into these points, go look at them themselves, weigh them out. What is your public opinion on them? If you find more stuff, please send it to me if you understand more about this. I'm not going to read all the case stuff. I don't understand all that litigation. I'm just reading what I, as a very easy Google search, you guys. So that is it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed part 8 of what in the actual fucking internet is going on here. This one never ends. And so we'll pause that for now. I'll regroup again in May 2025, maybe June, more mid to end of season 9 to see what actually happens here. Who knows? Maybe I'll report out in the meantime. But again, guys, if you hear something, see something, send it to me about this. Let me know what you guys think. Open up the conversation. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I'm always up to having new guests, people on all the time. I appreciate you guys all the time. I didn't say that in the intro. Thank you guys so much. By the time this airs, we'll be just going into the last month of 2024. I can't fucking believe it. 2 months of this podcast season 8, and then we'll be going into season 9 in March. I cannot believe it. But thank you guys as always. I hope that you enjoy and don't stress yourself out too much about the holiday season, guys. Remember that the reason for the season is presence. My present is your presence. Don't stress yourself out. Keep up on what the Joneses this Christmas. Spend time with family. Slow it down. Really think about how this year went, reflect, and go into 2025 with some intentions. I'll keep giving these positive messages throughout this whole month of awesome episodes. But as always, guys, thanks again. And until next time, bye. Thank you guys so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough for being here. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, please give me a follow at the Be Real Babe podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, and Pinterest. You can also find me on Facebook at the Be Real Collective. Until next time, guys, bye!